Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you guys are having a good weekend so far. In this video, I want to go over a pretty accessible Fire Knight hard team. It's going to be Fire Knight hard 6. So if you guys are just progressing through Fire Knight, this might actually help you out. The champions in this comp are replaceable, but I found this comp to be very quick, which makes it a little bit more unique than some of the other teams out there. I do have a guide on a Fire Knight hard 6 team, same difficulty but without one of the key champions. So I'll go over the team here in Moose's account. So Moose actually showed me the build, and the thing that really catches my eye for this team is how fast it is. So I want to go over the team with you guys here. Let's jump into it. All right, so I'm going to show you guys Moose's team and then basically my own version of Moose's team, and then we'll kind of discuss the differences and so forth. So for Moose's team, he's running the key champion for these types of teams. Like, you guys must have seen like tons of these teams by now, but the key champion for these teams is basically Nut. If you don't have Nut, this team's going to be hard to pull off. Like I said, I did have a guide on a Fire Knight hard 6 team without Nut at all, and it was actually pretty free to play team comp accessible, although the gear will be a little bit harder of course, but the champions were accessible. Similar to this team is actually accessible. There's 3 past fusions here, so if you've been playing this game for a year or 2, you probably have amassed these champions, and then hopefully you guys have amassed similar gear levels to be able to progress at least to hard 6 in Fire Knight. So these champions are what he uses. Somebody like Coldheart is going to be still good in Fire Knight hard 6. However, she's not going to be as good in higher difficulties just because there will be better options and she doesn't kind of hit hard enough, for example. That's my biggest problem with her. But let's go over team the presets here. So these are Moose's presets, so I haven't touched anything in my and I will give you guys my opinion on these. Like I said, I will go over my version of this team, but let's go over what Moose has on his team. So Razovar is going to open with the A3, that's the speed up move, and then he's going to gain the extra speed from his passive. So he's going to open that on wave 1. Wave 2, he's just default. Wave 3, he's going to open with the A1. So the way the team is set up is basically the Rabbit and the Coldheart are the 2 fastest on the team, and they will attack the boss, the Fire Knight, first with their A1s, and then Lanathro will ally attack with them in the as the first hitters to break the shield. Then the back end, the Stagnite and the Nut will apply their debuffs when the shield is down. So the ordering of the team is important. The ordering of the team is important because that determines how Lanathro will send them in for his ally attack. So that's his preset. These are his stats. I believe he's in broken gear, so it's not going to be anything too insane. But yeah, that's his stats. You want fast, good attack. Accuracy is not super important because he doesn't need accuracy against the boss. Against the waves, you don't really need that much accuracy anyways, and he also brings accuracy up. So accuracy is not super important, so if you're struggling with the damage stats, bring down his accuracy. For damage, it's important to give him lots of damage. So if you guys give him like a savage set, it's very important. Of course, make him fast. Yeah. So for Coldheart's going to be second fastest here in his lineup. He's actually the fastest, so he opens first. But then Razovar will overtake her for wave 2 after he applies the speed up. Keep that in mind when you're building the Razovar, because the Razovar does increase his speed after using this ability. So Coldheart, she's got 70 crit, more crit damage if possible, because you're going to be using the A2 and the A1 to try to kill off the waves as fast as possible. The Heartseeker will be capped, so you don't need 270 crit damage usually, but yeah, so speed is important. Accuracy is not that important on her because she won't be reducing any turn meter, and her debuffs don't matter against the waves. So Lanathro, so key comment here about the ally attacker. There's only a couple ally attackers that send the whole team in. This is important because if you don't have an ally attacker that sends the whole team in, you're losing a hit, right? You're losing at least 1 hit. So this is kind of important sometimes. So there's only, I believe, 3, maybe 4 now with the mythical. So you got the mythical champion, the fusion, you got Cardio, you got Lanathril, and then you have Longbeard. I believe those are the only champions, ally attack champions, that send the whole team into the enemy. The other champions will send other champions in, or some other champions, but not all the whole team. So keep those in mind. Lanathril, past fusion, was written off completely. Like a lot of people passed on him, but here is his place to shine. And actually, he might actually be the preferred ally attacker because he actually has an AoE attack. And I think this actually speeds up the run because this helps with clearing the waves, especially if you're running a champion like Coldheart, because she doesn't really do insane wave damage. So build him with damage, 100% crit rate. All he needs is HP and speed. So make sure his speed lines up here. So like I said, you want the Rabbit and the Coldheart to go first, especially against the boss. This is important. And then you want Lanathril to send them in. The Stagnite brings the AoE decrease. Sorry, I'm going to show the AI here. So obviously you save the ally attack on wave 2 and then open with the ally attack on the boss. So the Stagnite here, he brings a couple very important debuffs. You do see Stagnite in various Fire Knight builds, especially hard 6. He brings decreased speed on his A1. It's also a double hit, which is actually really nice. And then he brings the AoE decreased defense. So the decreased defense helps with the wave clearing, very important because the waves actually chew up quite a bit of time. And then against the boss, the decreased speed and the double hit really helps. Makes the boss more manageable in terms of your gear requirement, in terms of things like resisting turn meter reduction or things like that can go wrong. The speed down really helps. So he doesn't bring much damage. But yeah, make sure you have a champion like this, or you have basically overpowering stats. But yeah, you need accuracy on him, so bring at least 330, 340 accuracy. Moose has him in 100% crit rate. Like I said, speed tuned to probably, if you can just get Stagnite to go first, that'd be ideal. Of course, it might be kind of hard to get him faster than 291, for example. Moose doesn't have him here faster than 291. But you want him to go relatively fast so that he can get his debuff off, and then yeah, so that's kind of his role. And then you have Nut here, which obviously is the big damage dealer. You want him to open with the A1, the A2, that's the wave clear on the A1, on the wave 1, and then wave 2 you want to save the A3, that's the very important part. And then A3, it's going to come down to how your team handles the shield breaking, and then how the turn meter ends up. But if you feel like you have extra turn meter, that you have enough turn meter to recover, you can just send the Blessed Bash A3 into the boss right away. If you feel like the turn meter is too high, this might take some testing, but then you open with the A1 and then you come in with the Blessed Bash. Or if your team is really struggling to keep the turn meter down, or with speeds and all that, just take the A3 off completely and just use the A1 to keep the turn meter down. The run will be a lot slower, at least a minute slower, but it will be very safe. So that's kind of the risk, right? For accuracy, you're looking for at least 330 because you have to reduce the turn meter. 340, 330, 100% crit rate, good crit damage, good speed, good defense, and he can go last, and he can be placed last on the team. So sorry guys, a little bit long on the rambling for this team, but I just want to make sure that it's very clear about why these things are happening. You can have these champions and have the presets all wrong and the run totally fail, or the run not operate properly. We've been personally, I've been trying to mess around with these Fire Knight 6 and 10 teams for so long. It comes down to the presets and what works for what you have. So just keep that in mind, guys. This works for Moose. It's an incredible result. I'll show you guys right now. He blows through these waves like nothing. It's actually pretty amazing. I don't know what it is, but it's the timing, or just how the champs are positioned in their overall speed, but it's actually pretty amazing how quickly he actually blows through him. See, Lanathril's AoE actually really helped there, chunked off a little bit extra damage. and he's at the boss in 38 seconds. That's super fast. So you open with a bunny, cold heart, stagnite, and then the ally goes in. So now all the debuffs can get applied properly. So he's going in with the bash first. The boss had about 60% turn meter. Here we go. We're trying to get back here for the nut, and he gets it in. Only way he can lose here is if he goes triple resist on that turn meter reduction, and then I guess he team wipes or something. But the fact that Lanathro brings a shield as well also helps him, just in case the Fire Knight does break free from a turn meter or from bad RNG. Rabbit, and then that's it. Minute, just about a minute 30, minute 35. Yep, minute 35. Pretty insane. Like, to be honest, like if you guys been digging around for these Fire Knight hard 6 teams, it's pretty insane how fast this team is compared to like some other teams. You could have the exact same champions and the results would not be the same. This run could easily be like 2 minutes and 30 seconds if the AIs were not set up properly, if the order of the champions were not set up properly. So Moose's best is a minute 10, and he's saying his average is a minute 30. And you know, I ran a couple runs with this team, and yeah, it's a minute 30, and I don't know how he got a minute 10. But anyways, I'm gonna hop over to my alt account and I'll show you guys my version of this team, and then you guys can judge for yourselves. All right, guys. So this is my alt account. I'm gonna go over the team here. And I'll go over the presets as well, not too in depth, but so Razovar here, I'm gonna be similar AI, not exactly the same. I did shut off the A2 for the boss because I feel like the A1 is a little bit better. Also, if you have Phantom Touch, which is the recommended blessing for all these champions against Fire Knight boss, you have more chances of proccing the damage, for example, as opposed to this one. The A2 does hit a little bit harder, but it's not significantly harder. Cardio here, I'll just show you guys the AI quickly, and then Cold Heart, Stagnite, and then my nut. So cardio is my arena cardio. He's not going to be quick capped or anything against the boss, so you can definitely have a better build. Cardio, like I said, is one of the few champions to send your whole team in. He does do a little bit of healing, which is kind of nice if your team gets hit. He does do a lot of like A1 attacks because of his passive, which lets him join in on the attack. He does kill a little bit of time, so he might not be the best option here. That's why I'm saying Lanathro might be the best option. My Cold Heart, not crit cap, 245. If you can crit cap her, that's really good, because then she'll do more damage against the waves. Stagnite here, similar thing. I couldn't. Ideally, you want him to be the fastest, but my cardio was too fast, and then I needed to make my Cold Heart faster than my cardio, and it was actually not that easy, so I couldn't do it for my Stagnite yet. But I mean, I could, but yeah, well, I didn't yet. And here's my nut. Similar presets as well. So of course you save the A3 on the from wave 2, and then you open with the A3. Yeah, so in terms of like gear, I have Razovar in lethal. I have cardio and stone skin. I have Cold Heart and Stagnite mixed, and then nut in savage gear. So I'll show you guys the run. It's gonna be similar, but it's not gonna be as good. You guys can be the judge of this, because I'm using cardio instead of Lanathro, and that's why I'm saying that Lanathro might be the superior pick, because he does have AoE damage. Remember, Moose got to the boss in 38 seconds. 38 seconds. So I'm done wave 1 in 24 seconds. So I noticed I actually noobed my team a little bit because on this account I actually never had Stagnite early. So I never actually fully built my Stagnite, and then when I was doing this team, I realized my Stagnite didn't have masteries. And actually, the biggest thing about Stagnite is that he actually doesn't have a 100% AoE decreased defense unless you have masteries on him. So that's why my team is like a little janky sometimes, but it's gonna work for sure. It's just depending on how fast it is. But the Stagnite will drop the AoE decreased defense a bit more often. So it took me 1:14 to get to the boss, so probably twice as long as Moose. But the boss encounter is not bad. It's actually quite easy with this team. So I'm gonna jump into it here. Open with the bash. It is a slightly slower team. Alternatives. I think the biggest sub, if you can do it with Cohort, Stag, and Nut, you can sub Cardio, Lanathro, obviously for Longbeard, that would be the best. Obviously the mythical champion would be also very good. You could use other ally attack champions as well. It might require better gear, it might require full phantom touch on the whole team, for example, because you'll be losing like the one extra hit from the ally attack. That's about it. It's just, yeah, it's probably still gonna work. So my team, it does it in 2:21, and my best time was 30 seconds earlier, so 1:50. And like I said, my Stagnite's not 100% consistent with the AoE decreased defense, so you know that obviously can mess up some things, right? Of course. In terms of replacing Razzlevarg, you could replace Razzlevarg with he brings increased speed and obviously AoE clear damage, so it's not super easy to replace. You could replace him with maybe like Creodin. Creodin will slow down the run because he doesn't bring insane AoE damage, for example. But you could bring Creodin, and then you could sub out Cohort for some AoE damage dealer, multi-hit AoE damage dealer, for example. So you can do it that way. But obviously the important part is to have the Nut on the team. And Stagnite is of course replaceable, but I mean, there's not really a champion that brings decreased speed on a double hit A1 as well as an AoE decreased defense, which that's kind of what he is there for. But yeah, I mean, you know, I just want to showcase this run, especially Moose's team and his presets and his stats, because my team is actually geared quite better than his team. Like it's faster, stronger, more damage. However, the way his team is set up, it actually produces some pretty insane results. And yeah, I mean, it is pretty impressive. So anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for the video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll let Moose know about the video, so then he'll be in the comments as well if you guys want to ask him directly. But definitely check out this team. I think it's pretty insane that he can do this run super consistently in 90 seconds or less. So anyways, guys, until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.